Desperate housewives, desperate for excitement and adventure, and desperate for something different. Once it was middle-aged men who had the midlife crisis, buying the sports car, getting the tattoo, moving in with a younger woman. Well, these days women want a slice of that action too. 40% of women say they've had some sort of midlife crisis. Now, some deal with it by learning a foreign language or taking a cruise or climbing a mountain. But as Peter Overton found, it can also mean facelifts, fancy sports cars, and wild affairs. And that spells trouble for complacent men everywhere.
You'll find them on the sweeping cliff tops of New Zealand, on the boulevards of the Gold Coast, and in tiny villages in the south of France. Women of a certain age breaking free and breaking all the rules.
I ran away from home just before my 50th birthday. I lived alone in a French village. I went trekking in the Himalayas. I had a bit of Botox. I had a couple of affairs and somehow came out the other end in one piece. If you want to grow a reasonable quantity of vegetables...
Mary Moody used to lead a quiet life. She was a presenter on the ABC's Gardening Australia, had a stable 30-year marriage and was a doting grandmother.
Round and round the garden, like a teddy bear.
Then something strange happened, something Mary thought only happened to men.
I've always thought that midlife crisis is what, the businessman does when he ditches his wife of 25 years and runs off with his secretary. And I'm always really pleased if he has twins and has to, get up in the middle of the night and change nappies when he's 60. I think it's poetic justice. What's that?
Nana.
That's a nana? And what's that? Having spent so many years always putting everyone else first, suddenly I was thinking about myself and putting myself first. If I'd known how difficult the journey was going to be, I might have just stayed home and made booties for my grandchildren.
Come on, baby, light my fire.
That journey took Mary to the south of France, where she says she turned into a granny behaving badly. But far from keeping her midlife escapades a secret, Mary wrote about them in a series of confessional books.
I fell in with a large, rowdy group of people and socialised non-stop.
You had two affairs, one with a toy boy, for want of a better word.
Toy boy.
You don't like that?
Toy boy.
He was younger.
He was younger, but just because a man's younger doesn't make him a toy boy. I enjoyed being desired because I'd reached a point in my life where I thought, well, that's never going to happen again, and it did. And so my principles and my beliefs before I left home sort of got chucked out the window.
Toby Green was 35 when she had her midlife crisis. She just upped and left America, moved to Australia and started a whole new career as a relationship psychologist. The midlife crisis in the woman, what form does that take?
I've cleaned dirty nappies, I've picked up dirty socks, I've held down a responsible job. I've done all that. Now she's thinking, I never trekked the Himalayas. I never picked up a piccolo. I never learned fluent Italian. If I don't go for it, I'm never going to go for it.
Let's go climbing.
Let's go climbing.
And that's exactly what midlife women are doing, climbing mountains and creating their own boom in adventure travel.
We've had some rain, we could have some slippage.
8 years ago, Jen Wright was a university professor in Indianapolis. Then, at age 46, she had what she calls her epiphany. She threw away her old life, moved to New Zealand and reinvented herself as an adventure coach. Were you having a midlife crisis?
I was, yeah. Yeah, I hate to always call it a crisis because I always like to think of it as a transition because it sounds like more of a positive sort of thing. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a midlife crisis in all sense of the word.
Jen's leading a group of women on a 4-day hiking trip across the spectacular Banks Peninsula near Christchurch. Most of her clients are successful career women, and that, says Jen, is the key to the female midlife crisis.
We have lived through the feminist movement, and Peter, we went out into work like our fathers and climbed corporate ladders and got to a point that we said, this all there is?
Each woman on this trek is looking for something more. Jane Ross wants to put into action her New Year's resolution.
I'm going to be a very fit, get out there and, conquer the world person after this.
Well, keep walking. You've only got about, 50 or 60 or 70 or, I don't know, maybe 100 kilometres to go.
That's it.
Jennifer Clare wants to challenge herself physically. By the end of day one, she was positively beaming.
Oh, Peter, my biggest fear was that I was going to be the end of the line and everybody would be waiting for me. And here I am, I'm the first one off.
All power to you.
All power. I feel sweatier and dirtier and happier than I've been in ages.
You okay?
I bet.
They come through this and actually are able to throw away a lot of limiting beliefs that they had about themselves by doing this.
Gutsy ladies.
Yeah, very gutsy ladies.
So I can tackle anything now. So I'm throwing that belief in the... Alrighty! Yay!
Does life begin at 40 for Marie?
Oh, absolutely. The 40 is the new 30 now. So,
Marie Stevens
I'm really
describes
enjoying
herself
it.
as a single professional businesswoman.
Yeah, absolutely.
She has her own real estate business on the Gold Coast. But 5 years ago, life was very different.
I was in a relationship with a much older man.
How old?
At the time, he was 20 years older than me, and a 35-year-old to a 55-year-old, I think has a different outlook on life. So that was my time to say, okay, what does Marie want? So off I went.
Now there's the sports car and the younger man. Sounds familiar? But Marie says, despite appearances, this is not a midlife crisis.
Let's call it midlife realisation. Yeah.
Comfy with that?
Yeah. Well, it's not a crisis. I'm happy. I think it's just realisation, just a second chapter in your life.
How's your day?
Yeah, it was good.
And in that second chapter, there's Aaron Forsyth. He's nearly 30 years younger than her last partner.
She's my gorgeous.
She's back.
When Marie first hit the singles scene, she couldn't believe how many younger men were chasing her.
That's perfect, the sun's setting right now.
So it's a case of, hey, I can pick and choose here?
Yeah.
Was that good?
Yeah, awesome. It's great. It's like being in a lolly shop, isn't it? What do you want? So.
Is it also about the sex?
Yes. Yes, it is. But that's again boils down to intimacy in a relationship, doesn't it? But yeah, obviously, a younger man is going to be, I'm sure, more virile than someone that's a little bit older.
I've always thought she was a bit of a fox. And it just happened we were single at the same time, and we took it from there.
Aaron, do you think of yourself as Marie's toy boy?
No, I don't. No, I guess some people might say that because there's a bit of a contrast in her relationship from the last person she was with to me. But we both have our own homes, and financially we pretty much stay independent.
Do you think that you'll grow old together?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be on the cards.
Yep. Slippers and pipes and crochet blankets.
Obviously she'll grow older quicker than I will, but...
Thanks.
Now kiss and make up now.
Sorry, mate.
May I say, I do like your fishnet stockings.
Do you? Yes. I'm rather partial to my fishnet stockings too.
Mary, how old does 55 feel?
55 feels very old sometimes, I must say. And sometimes 55 just feels like 18. If I don't stop and look in the mirror, I feel terrific.
Come on, baby, light my fire.
Like most baby boomers, Mary Moody isn't happy about growing old.
Baby, light
It used to take me 5 minutes in the morning, get up, put on a bit of lipstick and away I'd go. And now it's sort of, applying lashings of spac filler.
No time to wallow in the mire.
Sometimes it's the fear of ageing, of no longer being desirable, that triggers a midlife crisis.
She felt that she wasn't attractive. So by having the affairs was an affirmation that in her 50s she was still an attractive woman. And I'd say, I think you're gorgeous. She said, well, but you're my husband.
David Hannay has been with Mary for 34 years and they've got quite a brood.
Come on, goose, 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 goose.
There's 4 children and 8 grandchildren. Just when life should have been slowing down, David had to deal with not 1, but 2 infidelities. So what did Mary's midlife crisis do to you?
It damn near destroyed me. It damn near destroyed us. It depressed the crap out of me.
New goose house. Fabulous. I mean, I had a terror when I realised that I'd pushed my marriage over the edge. I suddenly thought, I'm going to grow old on my own. I'm not going to grow old with David, and I'd always thought I would. Bing! It didn't quite come up with one. It's supposed to come screeching out. There we go.
Very good. Mary says hers is a cautionary tale. She clawed back her marriage, but there's no denying that David is still very angry and very hurt.
I certainly had a problem with the affairs. I mean, I, cheerfully ripped the throats out of these guys. And, Mary kept on saying, but it's not their fault. It's, what about me? Why don't you blame me? And I wasn't prepared to do that because it's very difficult to blame the person that you're in love with. And I've never not been in love with her. I mean, some people just, from being in love goes to love. Well, I've always been besotted with this woman.
Not every marriage survives a midlife crisis. And it's the women doing the walking. 2/3 of all divorces are instigated by the wife.
Women leave quite affluent marriages, with not a knapsack on their back. You can have the kids, you can have the house, you can have the money. I just need to breathe. I need to get out of here.
More women than men are now admitting to some sort of midlife crisis. It could be the start of a whole new life, or as simple as the thrill of getting up and down a mountain.
I've done something I never thought I would be capable of doing, and if I'm capable of this, then what else am I capable of? And I'm already starting to think of what can I do in my business, what else could I have in my life, what else could I do, what's next?
Go and enjoy your life, be happy, you only get one shot at it.
So buy a Porsche, get a younger man, and climb a mountain.
Something like that. I'll just leave the mountain out of it.
It's a dangerous situation for men, I think.
So men watch out, men beware?
I think that men need to beware. What I'd like to suggest is, when this show is over, turn your television set off. Turn to your wife and ask her one question. How are you? How are you really?
Hello, I'm Sarah Abo. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our Extra Minutes segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.